The Bee Who Lived in an Igloo by Paul McCann. Albert Busby loved to hum, and he hummed every chance he got. He hummed happily away from the day some of the other bees got upset with him and told him to stop. And from that day, Albert decided only to hum when he was by himself. Albert decided he'd start exploring the world around him on his own, because then he would have the chance to hum without making anyone get upset with him. One sunny afternoon, he went exploring around the botanical gardens in the central city. In the park there, he tried to avoid the other bees in case they also didn't like Albert's humming. He was often told to keep quiet by the worker bees, and even once the queen bee herself asked him to be quiet. So after that, Albert only hummed when he was alone. That's why he started to go exploring. There were lots of springtime markets now, offering lots of freebies for bees. Oh, on his flight to the city, Albert heard the buzz of the grapevine about some free samples of pastel cherry pink drinks and yummy runny honey sticks in the Central Park. There were some other products on offer to try for free, like the honey lucky sucky bags up for grabs, and the sweet tea and buttercup juice and the Chinese tea tree gardens were all filled with people and flowers, and of course, Albert Busby was there. He decided to go and check out some of the action there before heading over to the botanical gardens. In the refreshment section of the Chinese tea tree gardens, he saw a bright green glass bottle lying there on the ground. It had a beautiful aroma coming out from the top of the bottle, and he couldn't resist going to check it out. But as soon as he went inside to have a peek, the top of the bottle was closed, leaving Albert locked inside. Trying not to panic, he went into hibernation mode and instantly became unconscious in a frozen state, suspended in time. He drifted off into a dream state, and there in that place he found himself living in an igloo on the North Pole. There was a small space on the roof of the igloo, so Albert flew outside and went to have a look around. Sitting all alone in the snow was a green-eyed, pink and white, polka dot coloured walrus. Albert buzzed over it and said hello. Hi, I'm Albert Busby, maker of honey pots and collector of blossom drops. The walrus replied, Hi, Mr. Busby. I can't actually say we've ever met, but they call me Daddy Walrus, and there's lots of us here. We're all walking on thin ice, you know, if you know what I mean. Nice to meet you, Daddy Walrus. Where are all the others, then? Albert asked, and Daddy Walrus replied, If you follow those tracks in the snow over there, they will lead you to a cave. That's where the rest of us are. Daddy Walrus, what will you do if you fall through the ice and ended up in the cold water? And Daddy Walrus replied, First thing, my polka dots would turn blue. And then, without further ado, I'd swim under the ice to the secret underwater entrance. Albert said, You mean that you wouldn't freeze and turn into a block of ice there in the cold water, Daddy Walrus? Daddy Walrus smiled, and he spoke. Oh, no, you see, Daddy Walruses have lots of love in their hearts, and that's what keeps us warm. Therefore, Albert, my friend, we are always protected from the cold. And Albert replied, So that must be why I don't feel the cold. I must have love in my heart as well. They both laughed, and Daddy Walrus said, Welcome to the land of love, and from what I've been told, pretty soon all this snow is going to melt away before the sky falls down on top of us. Albert said, "Oh, what will we do when the sky falls down, and will it hurt us when it does?" Daddy Walrus replied, "No one has said anything about pain. All that we have been told is that the world we knew will be gone. Overnight, it will be through, and all the oceans around us will recapture all of the land that we've been standing on. And then all the sunken cities around the planet will reappear once again. That will be when the frozen creatures with their long white tusks will walk among us once again." What about the bees? Will there be a place for us in the new world, Daddy Walrus? Daddy Walrus said, "No one will be left out as long as we have love in our hearts." Suddenly the ice cracked, and Daddy Walrus fell into the water. Instantly his skin turned blue, with white dots, and he waved goodbye to Albert and swam away under the ice. Suddenly some polar bears with frizzy orange fur came rolling down from the snowy hills, and tumbling after them were silly-looking purple penguins on skimming boards, laughing as they came. They had never seen a bee before, and they came to say hello. "What are you doing here?" said a polar bear. Albert didn't really know what to say, and he found it difficult to explain the reason why he ended up in an igloo. But as soon as he started to hum, the polar bear started dancing, and the penguins started singing and dancing all over the frozen landscape. Strange-looking creatures came over. A two-snorkeled, green-speckled frog, like a kind of fish, with 3 legs, hopped out from the water and made its way over to Albert, all the way across the ice. And he said, "How do you do? You must be Albert the Bee, who Daddy Walrus told us about." Albert humming away, "That's me, all right, Albert Busby." He hummed away, and everyone else joined in the humming. It sounded as if they all had turned into bees. Another strange green-coloured creature appeared in the sky, with a long neck that had 2 oval-shaped heads, and 3 huge poppy-out eyes on each of the heads. It came gliding down from the sky and landed down on the ground. Then, shaking its legs and stomping its feet, the creature began to run, skidding and sliding across the ice until it came to the place where Albert was standing. And the creature looked at Albert, and he said, "Well, hello there. So you must be the bee that everyone's talking about. Well, I'm Squawk, the last skylark, where nobody here judged me. I'm extinct, you see. Now, just me. I live over there somewhere on the polar ice cap in the mist. So, no one can see me there, you see, except for me. I heard the sound of your humming, and I felt I had to come over here. What is that?" "Hello, Spark. Pleased to meet you. I don't know why my humming did that. In fact, I used to be told to keep quiet. So I'm puzzled why this is happening." As Albert continued to hum, other creatures were drawn to be there to hear the sound of the humming. A couple of large blue-skinned elephants with very long trunks between 2 golden tusks made their way over to where Albert was and said, "We are the tusky elephants. That's yellow plants, I should say. Yeah, from Frozen Wonderland, and today is our very special day because we are celebrating the end of our season of silence. We are going to have a party, and you're welcome to join us. That sounds great. I'm Albert Buzz Bee, and I can hum along with most tunes. Where I come from, they call me King of Harmony. Just give me a tune and I'll make it hum, all right? Too funny to hear, but I'm there if you want me to hum. Then some other funny-looking yellow, furry water rats jumped out from the water and came scurrying over.
Hello and welcome to the other side of the North Pole.
Thank you for the welcome, Albert said. And the wind arrived and it whistled a gentle air of welcome. 2 furry white wild snow wolves arrived and began howling to the wind as a multicultured and multifaceted creature crawled around with big eyes, and the moon rose above in an iridescent silver sky that sparkled, and in the beautiful twilight snowdrops began to fall, and they all landed down upon the ground. And when they did, flowers began to bloom all over the ice. They were everywhere, and suddenly, from all over the place, a parade of polar bears. Well, almost bears. They looked halfway between a bear and a walrus, and they were marching and waving as Albert passed. Many of the other animals and birds arrived, and everyone joined in the parade. Albert followed along behind as the parade made its way into a large snowy cave where Daddy Walrus was sitting there upon a large stone throne. All around the cave music was playing, and all kinds of animals were dancing and singing. Daddy Walrus shuffled over to a microphone, and he said, "Welcome, everyone, to the end of the season of silence, and today we have a very special guest. For the very first time here in Wonderland, we have a honey bee with us. Would you all make welcome, please, for the very first time in Wonderland? We have Albert the Buzz Bee." The chanting began slowly and rose to a frenzy of applause and cheering, and all around the cave the echo continued with a warm welcome for Albert. In the course of the event, snow fairies arrived on horseback, playing harps and fiddles and pipes and whistles. Then a storyteller arrived on a sleigh that was pulled by 2 friendly snow dragons. The storyteller began to tell the story of the very first season of silence in Wonderland, and how that silence brought the first echo of the lonely wind. And in the lonely wind was an invitation that went out to all of the universe for the lost and the frightened, and the strange ones and the tame ones, to all come and live as one in Wonderland. And eventually they all did. Ever since Wonderland became an inhabited place, a new light in the sky began to glimmer and shine down from above, and it reflected pathways to places where we all belong. The story acknowledged how everyone was different and how everyone in Wonderland was unique. At the end of the story, Albert flew over to the storyteller and he said, "Tell me, storyteller, is this where I belong? Is this my new home?" Music began to play, and Daddy Walrus said, "We knew you were coming, and that's why we built you an igloo." "What do we have to do here?" Albert asked. "What do bees usually do?" "We make honey, that's what most bees do." "But you're not like most bees, Albert. You're like us. That's why you ended up here in Wonderland. You are unique, and that's what you have brought is something special." Albert replied, "You mean the way I hum?" "Now you're talking. We enjoy the way you hum, and it makes us feel okay. So we would like you to stay, if you choose," said Daddy Walrus. Albert replied, "I've got a buzz in my heart that tells me this is where I belong." and in my heart I have love to keep me warm. So this is my home. This is where I belong. Albert started to hum, and the echoes of the humming were heard all over the cave, and there was thunderous applause and cheering all around the cave. The end.